The hypocrisy is so obvious. It is breaking my brain, literally trying to figure out why people are like this. And I know why. Because she's a grifter and she needs to just get that money. I get it. All right, last, we're going to talk about this Candace Owens documentary, and it was garbage. Okay, I'm just going to go straight to the point. I've been streaming for about an hour and 37 minutes and 40 seconds. It's garbage. You know what I'm saying? Of course, not everybody should be allowed to create docs because it's going to be one-sided. They're going to have all the facts and the evidence and the receipts that only point to their side. Simple as that. I seen it, was today, Tuesday, like Thursday, I think I seen it. It was a waste of time, bro. Because if you know Candace Owens, you already know what this is going to be about. She's not going to be unbiased. She's not going to be trying to represent both perspectives on the whole Black Lives Matter and the organization and the actual movement. No, it was a waste of time, bro. A waste of my life. Let's go ahead and hear this young man break it down in such a way I am jealous. Okay, I had this whole thing. Okay, I'm gonna talk about this partner in the doc. I'm gonna talk about this. Oh, he broke this down like a fraction, and I'm jealous that I couldn't have said it better myself. So let's listen to what he has to say.
I watched the George Floyd documentary that Candace Owens put up. If you look, the guy's knee wasn't even on his neck like that.
Hey guys, guess what? There's no tree in this picture. This bird doesn't have feathers, and this crocodile doesn't have teeth.
What?
If only I was Candace Owens, I might be able to gaslight millions of people into believing those things. Kanye West is on a marketing campaign right now for Candace Owens' new documentary titled The Greatest Lie Ever Sold. With its dramatic music and sleek editing, it purports to be a hard-hitting expose of the American left. Squaring in on the death of George Floyd, the documentary seeks to dismantle the narrative of the police reform and Black Lives Matter movements by debunking the claim that George Floyd was killed by Derek Chauvin. The film brings basically nothing new to the documentary record. The film includes various gotcha-style talking points, of which I'll go over shortly.
Of course.
The film includes an interview with George Floyd's longtime roommates Alvin Manago and Teresa Scott, who have been overlooked in the story. According to Owens, the producers for the film reached out but didn't tell them that she was involved. Their testimony mostly just reveals that they were friends, they were heartbroken when he died, and that Floyd was eerily worried about a potential encounter with police, an omen of what was to come. The roommates say Floyd said he was worried that if he resisted arrest with police, that he could be killed, which is exactly what happened. Owens basically uses this as a gotcha to illustrate to the roommates that if only Floyd had followed Chauvin's orders, he'd still be alive.
If he had complied, because I'm sure you guys have seen the full tape by now, you must be thinking woulda, coulda, shoulda, because it's just such an escalation when you see the full tape.
In talking about the
wow, because it's proven that if really any race, but you know, since we're talking about Black Lives Matter, if you're black and you comply with the police, they won't harass you. They won't shoot you. They're not going to beat you. They're going to just let you live and just go on in peace, because that's a fact, huh? Bro, get out of here. Get out of here.
Incident with Chauvin, the movie looks to dispel common myths, none of which are new information. Again, nothing of merit is introduced that is not already in the record. This includes the fact that George Floyd resisted arrest for several minutes and asked the police to be put on the ground. The movie, as expected, dives into Floyd's criminal past, including the well-known violent robbery in 2007. Unfortunately,
okay, and I thought this was weird too. As soon as I seen this in the show, I already knew it was gonna be some bullshit. Like, what does his criminal past have to do how the police were treating him in that moment? Just because someone has a criminal record doesn't mean you treat them any different in that moment than someone who doesn't have a criminal history. You see what I'm saying? But of course, you know, they want to dehumanize someone's character, so you'd be like, you know what? He wasn't a saint. Yeah. Is it really bad that he's not here? Is it really bad? That's what they're trying to portray when they try to bring up, his history.
For Candace,
here.
she was unable to secure an interview with the woman, so instead, Candace speaks on her behalf, implying the woman would be horrified seeing his likeness portrayed throughout the media. Of course, she's never spoken about it publicly, so we have no way of knowing that. So this point doesn't come off as particularly compelling or interesting at all. Candace concedes that she believes everyone deserves a second chance, but draws the line at
when it comes to second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, and ninth chances.
Two things can be true at once. George Floyd didn't deserve to die. Nobody deserves.
Oh, and for a question for the Christians: how many times do you forgive somebody? According to Jesus, how many times do you forgive somebody? Let me know in the comments. Oh, this would be because Candace Owens said you can forgive somebody once, but second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth. No. If you're supposed to be Christ-like, you got to change that way of thinking. Ooh-wee. Come on now.
Deserves to die. And you can also say this person was not a saint.
Of course, Chauvin's conviction was a result of the roughly 9-minute stretch that he had his knee on his neck, the action that rendered him a murder charge. This is why all of his prior arrests were deemed as irrelevant to the facts, yet the film, as expected, spent a great deal of time on it. Another gotcha moment in the film, which was restated by Kanye in that interview, is that when Floyd was calling out to his quote, mama, it was in fact his girlfriend, who he called mama.
What were you saved in his phone as?
Mama.
The point of mentioning this is that people used it to make Floyd a victim, of which he isn't, the movie contends. The movie, unsurprisingly, doesn't attempt to hide its bias in favor of Derek Chauvin. In fact, in the film, Chauvin and his family become the victim. Owens even speaks to Chauvin's mother on the phone.
They literally made him the victim of this whole entire show. I literally want to stop watching here, but I need to be more patient with these kind of people and just hear them fully out. But I literally want to stop right here.
Phone.
I can't imagine raising up a child and loving a child and knowing who he is and watching the media be able to strip that person of their identity and to create a new identity for them.
What are you literally doing to George Floyd? What are you literally doing to his character? You don't think his mama love him? You don't think he has brothers and sisters? His daughter? You don't think they see him in a totally different light than what you're portraying him? The hypocrisy is so obvious. If it is breaking my brain, literally trying to figure out why people are like this. And I know why. Because she's a grifter and she needs to just get that money. I get it. But I'm so confused on why people look up to her. It literally blows my mind that they don't put this together like, wait, you just destroyed his character. And I'm sure he has a mama that loves him. I'm sure that he has siblings and family that love him. But yet you're destroying his character on social media. But yet you're protecting this cop who you can say killed him. But you're trying to protect his character. And you're trying to relate and show empathy and sympathy for his family and how he's being portrayed in the media. You can't do that for George Floyd also? Is that so hard? Both things can't be true at the same time? Come on, bro.
I felt her pain.
Owens shows a scene in which she is frustrated that she is unable to help exonerate Chauvin in the biggest example of cope in the movie so far.
He's not going to come on camera or participate because they have a pending appeal. And my frustration and what I expressed to her is I'm just like, this might be the only opportunity that you guys have. And to be honest, I think it's the worst strategy. Super frustrating, but that's a dead end, so.
The film is extraordinarily sympathetic to Chauvin, mentioning how he languishes in jail and is incarcerated for 23 out of 24 hours a day with no TV, computer, or reading material.
You sit and look at the four walls in your cell every single day.
The film includes interviews with multiple Minneapolis police who describe Chauvin as not a monster, but, quote, quirky.
Derek is somewhat quirky.
I'm like quirky.
Interestingly, when speaking of the Floyd family, the movie implies that they are not genuine in their grief and are looking for a payday. When speaking of Chauvin's family, in contrast, their grief is legitimate. They show the tearful statement made by Chauvin's mother in court. Chauvin's mom is the legitimate griever.
Of course.
The Minneapolis...
Of course, black people only are acting like this to get the money. They're only acting like, oh, the tears and the crying, oh, they're only acting like this so they can get a big payday. They're only trying to capitalize on their relative, their boyfriend, girl. They're only trying to capitalize on this. Not the mom, not the police officer. No, of course not. Look how sad and white she looks. Of course not. Come on, bro. Get out of here.
Minneapolis Police Department is shown in a rather favorable light as well, despite their record.
So we have a good department.
When it comes to Floyd's autopsy and manner of death, which was crucial to the jury's decision to convict Chauvin, the producers do not include testimony from the court's expert cardiologist, pulmonologist, or even toxicologist. In fact, not a single witness in the trial is included at all with regard to Floyd's medical condition. The film uses a single source to give his opinion on the autopsy, a Dr. Ron Martinelli, described as a, quote, forensic criminologist, certified medical investigator. Martinelli implies that the restraint that Chauvin used was legitimate and described it as a, quote, maximum restraint position. I'm unaware that it's actually called that. As far as I can tell, it's referred to as prone maximal restraint, or PMR in the literature. About a half hour in, the movie now contends that Chauvin only appears to be kneeling on his neck because of the, quote, camera angle. As another gotcha, they include a side view, which has already been available and was played in the trial, which the film contends proves that Chauvin was not on his neck, but his back. The argument used here that Chauvin wasn't on Floyd's neck was largely seen in the trial as a desperate reach when compared with the testimony of the medical experts, including the medical examiner who conducted the autopsy, Dr. Andrew Baker.
And did you feel that Mr. Chauvin's knee was compressing his neck?
Yes.
The fact that Chauvin was indeed on Floyd's neck is not only backed up by the clear footage, but it was also included in his cause of death. Candace Owens, as well as her Daily Wire colleague Ben Shapiro, have also honed in on the fact that Dr. Baker, the medical examiner, didn't see any bruising on the neck muscles. Another gotcha, but one that was explained to be insignificant to Dr. Baker.
In your line of work, would you expect to see bruising?
I would expect to see bruising, but I don't know that the lack of bruising excludes that.
The film can't...
Of course they don't want to put that in a doc. Of course they don't want to put that in a show. Why would you have something that would discredit what you're trying to represent? Why would you do... I keep forgetting about the money. Why do I keep forgetting about the money? It's always because of the money.
Seemed to make up its mind about Floyd's cause of death. Dr. Martinelli implies at one point that it was
cardiomegaly, an enlarged heart. Their chances of sudden cardiac arrest rise by 150 times.
Was there any damage at all observed to Mr. Floyd's heart muscle?
Based on my review of all of the evidence, the autopsy report, I found absolutely no evidence at all of heart damage in Mr. Floyd's heart.
The film goes off the rails when discussing Floyd's drug toxicity. Even more telling than the single source for Floyd's cause of death, the film just doesn't include any interview with any expert at all when discussing his toxicology report, which is made very clear in the movie.
Why?
The film uses a sleek graphic, an animated bar graph, to show the level of fentanyl in Floyd's bloodstream. It compares Floyd's level of 11
Now, this is the information I did not know, and I'm so glad that he broke this down in such a beautiful way. And it's like, it's impressive on how they just, shifted it just enough to make you believe what they want you to believe. That's why it's important to do your own research, man.
Nanograms per milliliter to another bar, which is erroneously labeled, quote, standard overdose level. There's no citation on the chart, which is both amazing yet unsurprising, so I did my own digging to find that figure. First of all, the term, quote, standard overdose level simply does not exist in any medical literature whatsoever. it doesn't even appear to exist anywhere on the internet at all, as it provides exactly 0 search results.
Damn.
There have been numerous studies which include mean blood fentanyl concentration in deceased patients, including one from the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, which, first of all, shows recommended concentrations for anesthesia at 10 to 20 nanograms per milliliter. At the low end, more than 3 times the level of the, quote, standard overdose level shown in the film. In fentanyl-only related deaths, a 2014 case series reporting an average of 30 nanograms per milliliter, or 10 times the, quote, standard overdose level. 18 patients, according to the University of Texas, were shown to have concentrations ranging from 7.9 to 162 nanograms per milliliter.
Now remember, these are people who actually get paid and have the time and the resources to actually do these studies. They're not just Googling everything. These are actually people who have degrees to understand and break this stuff down into such a way they can actually find this information other than Google. Like you and me, hey, our best friend is Google. Google and YouTube, you know what I'm saying? We might have a couple little connections here and there, but for the most part, we can't do the study that they do. You know what I'm saying? So it is important that you listen or at least take an ear to the people who do this for a living. I'm just saying.
A mean of 52 nanograms per milliliter, and only one of those 18 patients actually died. And then there's the expert toxicologist at the trial, who the film conveniently does not show in the film at all.
Wow.
So comparing
Again?
Mr. Floyd's level to the driving population, in 53 cases, higher than 50 nanograms per milliliter, is that right?
Correct.
So those individuals were alive and essentially driving at that time.
Yes, pretty amazing.
Finally, 37
Wow.
minutes in, we now make the leap to the BLM protests were completely unfounded. What's ironic here is that she's saying the George Floyd story is baseless, thus making the argument for the riots null and void, when in reality, her telling of the George Floyd story is riddled with just false information, thus making her entire argument null and void. The enemy in the film shifts from time to time from Black Lives Matter, particularly Patrisse Cullors, and then to drug addiction.
The real story is a story of addiction.
But the main enemy, oddly enough, are transgender people. This connection is made through the IRS records of Black Lives Matter, which gave hundreds of thousands amounting to a couple $1 million to trans programs. The plot has been revealed that Black Lives Matter lied about George Floyd to further their transgender agenda. Well, guys, I watched it so you don't have to. Don't ever say that I don't do anything for you guys, seriously.
But unfortunately, I watched it, okay? Unfortunately, I watched it. And like I said, it was a waste of time. I already know where her angle was. I know she... maybe I had a little hope that she was going to be honest. Even that was a little... Even I'm stretching that kind of... I knew what she was going to bring. I just want to see it so I can already have a better perspective on what she's putting out. And like I said, this young man right here, he did it. He did a roundup of her doc in such a way to where it's like he said it best. You know what I'm saying? And that just goes to show you. And Democrats can do this too. If you have an agenda, if you're playing on a team, you're gonna do what you need to make sure your team is winning and you're getting paid. That's literally all this is for. Literally all this is for. Simple.